Hi,
Mm.
guys. This is Marketing with Maya. Today, we're going to be discussing how to do marketing in China. I'm really excited because we have someone who specializes in this. His name is Peter Uski, and in fact, he has co founded a company called Chimini Marketing Agency where they target and they help companies target China. So, Peter, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Maya. Nice having here. So my name is Peter, and we are working in an agency that provide a, you can say, niche solution and helping the companies to enter one of the biggest market in the world, China, and we do 360-degree marketing for them, and I think it's a very interesting market. It's special, and I am happy to share some insights and maybe some advices.
That's great. So, we all know that China is a very big country, and they're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, economy in the world. So, I'm curious, apart from being one of the biggest economies in the world, what are some reasons why China is such an attractive market?
So actually, the size itself is very interesting because a lot of companies, especially coming from the European companies, where the Europe market is much more smaller, they doesn't understand what the big size actually mean. And the first thing what it can provide for the company is that you can do much more deeper level segmentation. And with that, when you can basically divide much more deeper to find a niche which are special, will be interested for more special products. And in the same time, again, if we talk about search engine marketing, we can go for more deep keywords, like we call them long tail keywords or hard keywords, which will be providing much more better leads. And understanding that, again, there's much more tools in China for that as well, for segment the market, and that provide opportunities for especially for those niche companies, so they can come and offer and tailor just specialized product.
Wow, that's great. So, you mentioned long tail and short tail, correct? Can you maybe explain to us in very simple terms what that means?
Basically, like if you talk about the keywords in a search engine, when, for example, in some country you can only go that you want to buy uh, iPhone online. Here, like in China, we can put much more specific on that because what we call we have a more deepness in the market. There are much more people searching for that, so we can put especially that you can buy iPhone 13 pink color online. So
Mm.
we can specialize exactly for those who are search for specific needs, and I think that is much more fascinating. So we can find that segment, and it's not only in the search engine. We have same thing in social media segmentation. We have a same thing even like thinking about the. In China, there's a natural concept about the cities. Um, we divide cities in four different categories,
Okay.
and it's first tier cities, second tier, third, and fourth tier cities. And traditionally, it's also happened that I think it's quite interesting inside that a lot of foreign companies come into China, they start their business from the places where it's easy to travel for them. So,
Okay.
because a lot of flights come into Shanghai, a lot of companies start that business from Shanghai. So we see that actually Shanghai is full of a lot of different choices of foreign companies, and you can say the Shanghainese customers are a little bit spoiled with that. But if you come to the second tier cities or third tier cities, maybe the people's salary is not that high that people are getting in Shanghai, but they spend actually much more less money on rent and other costs. So, and actually their savings is much more bigger. In the same time, they doesn't work so long hours in their office, and they doesn't spend so much time on transportation, which make them actually better to consume products. So, which creating that for some products, of course, it's not can generalize, but for some products, second tier cities and third tier cities can be have less competition and much more attractive customers who are not sport and interested to go with that. So
Wow, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
mhm.
What do you think are some key driving factors that make someone decide, yeah, I want to buy this product in China.
Of course, it's very difficult to do any generalization for the products because the products are different. And of course, every person, even when we go to buy medical products, we probably not gonna look at the cheapest one. But maybe when we gonna buy some products, like when a man gonna buy shampoo, he maybe be cost driven. But there is some specialty in China which is more maybe showing that even in China, people are cost sensitive, but they are very interested about the foreign brands. They are attracted to the foreign brands, and there is a consumption that the foreign brands are better quality. So that provides something for people. But in the same time, especially when we talk about the consumer products, people expect to have more things in the packaging. They want to have a beautiful packaging, and people doesn't expect that the good product, and especially what we look like in European organic brands now, they have a minimalistic packaging because of this environmental impact. So they try to be very environmental, so they minimize their packaging. But in the same time, the Chinese customers, they cannot accept that the good quality product can be minimalistic packages. They want to have this kind of like a wrapping in a bigger boxes and nice colors. And of course the branding. And I think it's everywhere. So if we are familiar with the brand, it's going to be big drivers and opinions of the others. That's why the influence marketing is working. And I think it's quite amazing and interesting.
That actually raises a question since you mentioned social media and social proof, but I will get back to that in a moment. What I'm curious about is, okay, let's say I'm a company and I am in the crypto industry. Is this an opportunity that is interesting, or what industries in China do you think are worth pursuing?
Traditionally, again, in China, food and beverages are, you can say, the industries which are Chinese more interested in. And Chinese, comparing to the other nation, again, it's a generalization, but interested in food and different kind of foods. So there is a lot of curiosity about trying different foods. And second is everything related to the money. So Chinese was very active investors around Asia, and everything what related to not only money, but how to store the money, how to make more money is inside of the culture. You can say like that. So, and when you mention the cryptocurrency, we have to know that the cryptocurrency is forbidden in China. But again, there is a lot of Chinese investing in the cryptocurrency, and especially we're looking in all kind of stages of the blockchain, and especially on the mining industry, but later in all kind of cryptocurrency trading and different fintech products. But we have to understand that there is a regulation that the blockchain is blocked, but the blockchain as a technology is not actually limited or restricted, but it's how we put it. If the company or the project, if they mention themselves as a money and they talk that they're currency, so they're cryptocurrency, they refer in themselves as a money. Or if they tell that any kind of money definition, if they take for their project any of the money definition, like a store value, or to increase the value, or that you can be traded, it already means that it's money. So in that case, it's forbidden. But if they keep it as a not using the word coin, but using token, and which can be exchanged, then it falls down in a regulation that it's like a game token. So it's actually possible to be promoted in the China market. But again, it's have to be careful and with the wording. So coins should be not used, ICOs cannot be used, but there is different way to promote the blockchain projects in China, and that was very active area as well, for many companies.
So you mentioned promotion methods. What kind of promotion methods are you talking about?
Actually, as in any market, there are a lot of promotion methods, and China have, of course, own specialty. But I think the pyramid of the marketing is still the same. So first, when we go to the market, we advise to companies become systematic, and not just gamble with the different promotion methods. And systematic, what it means for us, that we usually try to build a sales funnel and then test it. And the first level of testing is usually to get a search engine leads. When we go to the search engine, we use the hot keywords and we bring it to the sales funnel. It can be a lead generation, it can be e-commerce, and then we see how it's converted. Because if something fails, there are only two things can fail. It's either the marketing campaign or the offer itself. So we adjust the offer, we adjust the campaign, we got the result, and then we got it working. So then we start to move to the second layer. And the second layer, we usually go for the content promotion. So we start to, in a different social media, to develop the channels. We start to generate the content. We also have a community engagement. Through that, we see how the audience of the channels is converting to our existing already tested sales funnel. So in that, we know the sales funnels works. So it's either our audience or our content. So we adjust those until we got the desired conversion rate. And then only we can move further. Then we start to move further, which is now very popular, influence marketing. And a lot of companies want to jump first in influence marketing, but unless you tested your sales funnel, unless you know that your even social media content marketing works, influence marketing can be just like a gambling. You just gamble that, and you problem is, nice thing, if you got the results, you are happy, you're getting leads, you're getting sales. But if you don't have any way to actually go and analyze what went wrong. But if you done those level number one, level number two, basically search engine keywords, you go to the second level, make a content marketing on your sales channels, and then you go to the influence marketing, you know that those two levels work. So if influence marketing doesn't bring you results, it's either the audience of this KOL, or it can be the method how he packaged the content. So in that, we can go and again change the audience, use the different KOLs, or choose the packaging method, so how he bring it up, and again test it back. And by testing, continuous testing, we find the most optimal way for the conversion. And influence marketing is not a one hit. It's usually that we try to create it wire. So we create a seed marketing of using different influencers in the same time to cover the audience. Because the main idea, I think everybody know, like that when it's come on TV, you see the advertising. You see the advertising on TV, but you are not reacting. It requires you at least 5 times to see it until you start to, this call to action start to work on you. One time is not enough. So same here, that if you start to hear it from different influencers and from different places, first of all, the platforms itself, like Chinese TikTok is Douyin, for example, it starts to promote it more. In the same time, people start to react better. But again, it has to be systematic, and you have to start building it from layer to layer. Otherwise, it's become gambling.
So unless you actually test every single layer, you don't know what the problem is. Basically, that's what a sales funnel or marketing funnel does. So now I'm curious, because you said influencers, and you don't normally just do one influencer. What would you say, how many influencers should you hire? What kind of budget should companies expect when hiring influencers?
It's again, the different industries have different patterns, and it's natural that, and it's very important to understand in which stage company is, and what kind of, if all the necessary market presence is already done before you start to employ the influencers. And we got the clients who come and they only have maybe a shop in one marketplace, in a good marketplace, and they ask us to find them influencer, actually one or two big influencer who are going to promote, and we have to go honestly them and say, it's a gambling. We're not going to guarantee you any result. But if you want to proceed it systematically, we first need to analyze what is the potential customer journey. Because we have to understand what the customer going to do when he see the advertising. Because usually when they see some kind of brand, they're not going to go, they are very little this kind of impulsive products. They're usually less than $100. They have to be related with some kind of entertainment. But if it's not, then it's not a single touch product. It's mean that person will go and study that online. So basically they will take the name and go to the search engine. Baidu is the biggest in China, and they're gonna search it. So what they want to expect to see. They want to expect to see the company website. They want to see them in the social media. They want to see them also in the different reviews of people. And if that is not done, you are wasting your time with influencers, because it's assuming that the customers are a little bit stupid and just like acting like a monkeys. They are not. Most customers nowadays are very sophisticated, and they're very careful what they buy. And especially when they are buying the more expensive products, they are doing better research. That's mean we have to cover all those things, basically all those places where they will go before they come there. And that's why it's very difficult to make estimates for the budget of influencer. But again, if you are talking about China market comparing to the price of influencers in China is much more higher traditionally. And that happened for several reasons. The market was, you can say, getting saturated. There are a lot of media companies who started to buy influencers out, and they brought it in one house. So a lot of influencers, and for example, if we talk about now the most hottest platform, TikTok, Douyin in China, so it's a separate platform run by the same company, ByteDance. There is a separate platform where you're negotiating with those influencers. And when you're negotiating them, it's basically their clear terms and everything, which make that happen that influencers are more in a position because they are coming from the media company itself. They are not individuals. They are already set it in a very standard. And then you can say there's a little bit not monopolic situation, but oligopolic. They're already managing certain audiences. And for that, the cost can be much more higher. We notice that a lot of customers, they get surprised when they hear the prices first time. We can have a average Douyin or WeChat or Weibo influencers for around like $5,000 for one post.
Wow. And this is for just a standard starting influencer.
Yeah, this is like already, you can say, mature, but it's not like they're very popular. So it's already, when we start to get to the 10K US dollar, we already get into the more high. Again, it depends on the industry. If we are moving to cosmetic industry, it's much more higher costs. If you go to some niche markets, they're going to be less. But 5 to 10K is a cost of this kind of like a already established influencer. And of course, when we go to those kind of like stars, they can be much more higher.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the highest paid influencer in the world was from China. Is that? I
Excuse
think
me.
it was a Chinese celebrity. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think who we call influencer, all the stars from the Hollywood, they're doing some kind of influencing, in a way, product placement. We call it product placement. So it's in their own channels. It's just like not so obvious comparing to what we call KOLs, key opinion leaders. And
I see. Cool.
yeah.
Next question. So we all know that China has had some issues with blocking things out on the internet. I heard some things even like China does not have internet. I'm pretty sure they do. But can you please clarify for us, what is China's internet situation?
It's nice question. It's interesting because China doesn't have internet. It's quite an interesting statement. And in some ways, it's actually have a background for that. Because if you look at the development of China, and we had a Web 1, and now we are still in a Web 2 and moving to the Web 3. The China development was a little bit slow on a Web 1, and they almost basically jump it over.
Wow.
So a lot of technologies from the Web 1 was missing, and that's why they get so strong on a Web 2. Let's simplify it for people who maybe are confused with the web, what is Web 1 and Web 2. So traditional websites, emails, e-shops, they're not working so well in China. People are not used to that. They start to move into the Web 2. It's got more active, like a social media. And people, without having emails, was already registering their social media accounts. So why you would need to have email? Because if you didn't have an email before joining the social media, you think, like, why should I sending emails? Actually, the credit cards falls to the Web 1 category, and there's a payment method. So those digital payment methods created by Alibaba company and also WeChat, they become so vastly used, much more than the credit cards. And that's why when we approach Chinese customers and with our e-shop and we expect them to pay us, it's very difficult scenario. It have to be very special product because, again, they are not used to the e-shops. They are not used to the pay with a credit card. It's a technical problem. China works more as a, you can say, limited internet. It's like intranet with controlling the content and only allowed friendly content to be viewed inside of the country. And by that, some companies who place their website outside of the China internet, they can be not reachable because, for example, if they share IP address with some other website which put unfriendly content, it's going to be the whole IP address going to be blocked. It can happen also for the whole server, or it can happen to hosting provider. And some companies, like we have an American company who is doing filters, they're a stock exchange company, nothing, like you can say, very big and respectful company, their website was blocked. And later we found out it's because their hosting got blocked, because on their hosting there was something unfriendly for the China. So we needed to move their website to another hosting in order to get access. And there is also limitation for the websites, for the foreign websites, in terms of more, you can say, internal technology. Because in China, Google doesn't work. So Google doesn't work, Facebook doesn't work, LinkedIn quite limited, and most of the social media doesn't work. But especially Google, because Google provide a lot of services. Especially for the websites, we have a Google Fonts, what people use inside of the script. And when we have a code inside of the website, which is downloading the Google Fonts to their website, it can just slow down the loading time. It can be like loading time of 30 seconds. Who's going to wait for that? So also the content management systems. Everybody loves WordPress, but it's not so much supported in China, because in China there is own content management systems and they work differently, and of course different scripts. So if you have a website which is running and everything nice, and you expect, and for example e-shop, and you are selling nice product in the different countries, and then you expect, hey, I'm just going to put the advertisement to China and China is going to buy that, you might be surprised, but your website may be even not accessible.
So then how do you know what is accessible? What kind of website support system, if not WordPress, do you recommend people use?
There is a Chinese customer management system, but I think it's more or less when you start to put in your website on a China hosting, then you will see what kind of options that fit your website better. And of course, also getting the license for the website, because every website, or like everything in China, it cannot be anonymous. So we have to, every voice have to have somebody be responsible for that voice. So for every website, we need to get ICP number or ICP license.
What is ICP license or number?
Those ICP, now it's provided by the government. So when the government gonna check the company's business license, they're gonna check if the business license and the business scope is fitting the website, and then they gonna issue this number and a link which the company have to put on their website. And by that, it will ensure that the website will not be blocked by the China Great Firewall.
That sounds like a lot of documentation. It sounds like a long process. Be honest with me here. How long does it take to actually do all this?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because a lot of customers, when they especially want to open, let's say, like search engine campaign, and they have experience of opening search engine campaign in Google AdWords, Google Ads now, it takes you half an hour basically to open up the campaign. If somebody can spend 2 hours. So in China, to do similar thing, it takes you 1 week of a verification.
All right, so apart from time, what other obstacles or things do you think that businesses should take into consideration? Let's say, for example, payments, or what else?
Of course, again, we look at some industries have a more restricted or more limited, and of course in every country, medical industry or food and beverages, it's need more license than usual. So, but there are also some surprisingly restricted areas. And for example, we had one client, and they are doing English school for the kids online. And it's very difficult to imagine for the foreign clients that this area can be forbidden completely in China. You cannot advertise anything on English education for kids in China. For example, second example, we had a company doing the cream, and this cream would work as a fat loss. So losing the fat and cellulose. So it was completely forbidden, all this kind of direct advertising on this kind of issues. But of course, when we talk about the direct advertising, it's forbidden. But in those kind of cases, we can go and have a content marketing and provide the content and attract the audience, and of course later involve also influencers.
Okay, so there are ways around this basically.
Yeah, there's always, you can always get, but it's just going to be a longer process. And but if you want to get it, you're going to get it.
I heard that some companies, even big companies, are not the same name in China. Is this true? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, very good question. And it's a lot of times it's not even understood, but didn't put importance to them for the foreign company entering China. That the Chinese people, they think, they speak, and of course they write with the Chinese characters. So the Chinese characters is not only writing, but they also how the people speak and think. And when you have a brand name, which is not in Chinese characters, the first thing what the usually Chinese person gonna do, in order if he want to remember that, he gonna figure out what kind of characters is gonna fit him to remember. So instead of providing this opportunity for the customers, so they will choose the different characters to remember your name, it's will better that you will do it yourself. And we had several examples like it's of the companies who ignore that and they lose the. We have a one company. They was having a market in China for 10 years, and they had a very good sales through the distributor. But actually, distributor have registered for them a Chinese name. They didn't care about that because they thought their original name was very big enough. But when after 10 years of cooperation, they didn't reach the agreement, the distributor have continued selling different product with their Chinese name. And they basically lose the whole market on which they invested with their product and with their marketing capabilities. We have another beautiful example when I think there was a company and they had a very difficult pronouncing name, not only for Chinese, but generally. And they didn't made their name and in Chinese and didn't register, didn't market that. But the people, the customers, they start to call it with one certain brand because the product was so good, so people still bought it, and the people start to call it with one type of name in Chinese. So what the competitors do, they just went and registered that name.
Oh,
And then basically all the people who are searching that with that name was getting to the competitors page.
whoa.
And then that's how you lose things. So the name is very important. The Chinese name, and it doesn't mean that you can use both. You can use your foreign name together with a Chinese name on a logo, but having this registered and owned by you, not by a distributor, and basically carefully thought is very important.
Wow. Definitely make sure you have a Chinese name and register it, guys. You might go out of business otherwise. Ultimately, China sounds interesting. But what do you think? Is it worth it for companies? Does budget come into play here? What are your recommendations for company who are thinking this might be an interesting country for me?
I think it's very depend on the company size and a stage of their growth, because we are talking about the internalization process for the company. If it's a Thai company which is looking to just expand and making their first move to the foreign country, I would say maybe the China will be not a good choice to start with, because Thai company who are operating already successfully in Thailand, they are probably running, for example, ads in Facebook and in Google, so they can much more easily adjust for the Korean market, South Korea, or for Japan market. They just need to translate existing campaigns and they can start running the same day. They just need to maybe translate their website and they can start collecting the leads. But when we talk to the China, the initial investment is so big and it's going to require much more resources because everything will be needed to do from the scratch. Again, China landscape of we talk marketing is completely different because of this closed environment. Their social media have shaped themselves differently comparing to the other countries. The communication ways shaped differently. And so the old tools going to be new, and that will be a cost for the starting company. But if the company already established enough and they are well operating around Asia Pacific or even like in Europe and United States, then it's a time to come to properly to the China market. And those references from different countries, like especially Japan and Korea, we see that especially with K-pop and Japanese products are popular. They're starting to be, they're trying to be followed also by the Chinese customers. So then it will be right time to come and try to enter to China. And then it's become the question of how much budget you have and which way you will go. Basically, do you go the direct and want to sell by yourself to reach your customers, or do you want to go through the distribution network? Because in a distribution network, like you will be more reliant with the distributor, you will share the profits with them. You will need to establish some kind of agreements, and which also have a difficulty in certain way, but it's of course much more economical way. You don't need to spend so much resources again on a marketing establishing thing. So establishing your way to your own way and opening your sales channel to China can be very expensive. Yeah, so just maybe to illustrate that with the numbers, most foreign companies, it will be more appropriate, and it's possible for foreign companies to open in a marketplace in China, and especially in a Tmall, provide this kind of opportunity. So when we help our clients to open Tmall store, so the yearly running fee will be around like 10K US dollars.
US dollars. Okay.
Yeah, so 10,000 US dollars. And again, it can be lower, it can be higher depending on the shop structure. But it's only the store, and then you will need to have a promotion on top. There will be some promotion on the platform itself, on the marketplace, but it's usually not enough. So you will need to go and establish more additional promotion as we talk about the market. So the market presence and having those digital presence in your social media, maybe the website and other places and other medias as well, so that you're going to be reachable. And if you calculate the cost of that, it can be also, I would say altogether 50,000 US dollar for a year. If you have that money, then you can consider going to China and sell direct. If you don't, I would better consider you to go and find the distributors, and finding the distributor with who you can negotiate the terms. But again, be very careful of owning everything you do. So your trademark have to be owned by you. Your marketing channels with your name have to be owned by you. If you can own also the sales funnel, but it will be very difficult to discuss with the distributor. But again, to able at least to control those, because it's a matter of time when you will have a different idea how you will continue your business with your distributor, and the more control you have, it will guarantee that you can go and grow to the next step.
Wow, that's good to know. I didn't know that China was so, what's the word, compared to other countries amongst the higher budget kind of countries. So, to conclude, what do you think are some key takeaways that someone who's watching this should take into account?
Again, it's going to be generalization for everybody. Sorry for using this word too many times, generalization, but it is very difficult to give one single solution for everybody. But I think the main thing is to still first is to make your own research and to understand what you are doing before you start to entering, and then have a clear plan what you actually try to achieve. And because with the limited resources, and all companies have a limited resources, I'm not only talking about the startups, we try to cover all the China, but maybe with budget what you have, you can cover some provinces and have a more stronger presence there than just spreading out your budget through the whole China. Because it's not only just to have a huge reach, but it's more about that you're consistent with the same audience. So they see the message from different places, then they start to react. So having this plan and having the research is important thing to do. I would say this is to start, and of course, expect unexpected.
Of
It's
course.
always works with a professional. It's gonna save you a lot of time. If you don't save money when you go to the doctor, don't save money when you go for the marketer. They're
Fair
gonna.
enough. Are these all services that your company can provide if the person doesn't know what to do and who to go to?
Yes, again, we work with the companies and we provide all 360-degree services for marketing in China to, again, not only promote, but establish the sales funnel to get the sales running. And basically, we work, again, as a B2C market, and we also work for the B2B market as well. And it's quite interesting, and we help a lot of different companies and have a lot of interesting cases. And so, yeah, happy to maybe come and tell you more stories next time.
That's great. How would one be able to find you if they were interested in talking further?
Again, our company can be found on the website chimany.com. I think we include the link, and you can find myself on the LinkedIn and just send me the message.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. Wow, I learned a lot about China and marketing in China, and I hopefully you guys did too. Yeah. Thank you for coming, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.